All right, so this is my first time doing this, and I don't know why I haven't done it sooner because we're already going to 2 days. We'll be going into session 5 for my in-person Tomb of Annihilation campaign that I have here in my house in Arizona. It's a 6-person group. We meet bi-weekly every other Sunday. We play for about 4 hours or so. It's a good group. I really like it. We've got some new players and we've got some experienced players. And so far, everything's going well. And so I just wanted to kind of start going over some of my prep for it because I have a lot to prep for. One of the things that we did, let me get my notes out here. So where we're in Port Naranzaru. The characters have been in Port Naranzaru for a full day now. They're just still kind of getting acquainted with the city, and they've got a little side quest that they're doing. We have some special house rules. And mainly I just want to talk about what I've done changes wise to TOA is that I haven't had the players start with the Death Curse. They don't know anything about the Death Curse yet. They don't even know really that the Death Curse exists. I'll get to that though. So my character started in Baldur's Gate, and they each had their own personal reasons for wanting to go to Chult. And I made sure, like this is something I covered in session 0 with my players, is I wanted them, I said, look, you have to have a personal reason to need to go to Chult. Like it has to be something. So one of the characters, he was a former merchant, or he's the son of a wealthy merchant, but he's kind of a failure. And so he has already lost a fortune. He's already almost run the family business into the ground. And now he wants to go to Chult because he knows there's great trading opportunities there and there's fabulous riches. And he sort of wants to make it as his own man and prove his family wrong. And I was like, great, that's cool. And then his other part of his backstory is that he has a sister that he's lost. And he only found out that he had a sister from his mom only recently. And basically she said that they had to give up his sister. Like there was going to be a complication with their birth and she was going to die and possibly the kids were going to die. And so a hag came to them and made them a deal that everybody would be spared, but that the hag got one of the children. And she didn't care which one. It could be randomly selected, but the hag got one of the children. And so he was the child that was kept, and his sister is the child that was sent to the hag. And the only thing the mother knows is that she suspects the hag exists in Chult somewhere. So it's stuff like that. Like that's sort of my hook, right? To get my players into Chult, because I didn't want to have the Death Curse be the hook, because I did not want the players to know about the Death Curse yet. I wanted them to come into the Death Curse over the course of the first couple of sessions. So they got on a boat, the Brazen Pegasus, and they sort of scammed their way on board, said they were with the Order of the Gauntlet. There was already an acolyte of the Order of the Gauntlet there, Undril Silver Tongue? No. Silvertusk. Undril Silvertusk, who was there. And she was going to reinforce Camp Righteous for the Order of the Gauntlet, but she doesn't know that Camp Righteous has been destroyed. And one of my other players is also a member of the Order of the Gauntlet that was answering the call. So they have a bond like to the NPCs. And the other thing I asked that my players do is that I ask my players have at least one tie to another player in the campaign. Like it could be a familial tie, like brother, sister, or something like that. Or it could be that they just ran into the other person. So one of the ties is that one of my characters tried to rob one of the other characters, and then another character actually interceded and stopped the robbery. And so all three of those characters are sort of tied together. And so that's how I'm getting them to Chult. So they get on a boat. They say they're with the Order of the Gauntlet. The captain doesn't care because she's been paid to take a bunch of people for the Order of the Gauntlet. So she doesn't really care. Wasn't given a manifest of who was supposed to be on board. Wants to sail out immediately. So she sails out. The first night out, they see a lunar eclipse. And the captain says, look, I'm very familiar with the stars. This was not supposed to happen. This is not scheduled. This is weird. This is a bad omen. So that is the start up of the Death Curse. That is the Death Curse starting, kicking. That's the engine turning over. That's the afterfall, like getting into motion, right? So they now go. They do this journey sailing, and it's like first level. It's sort of very basic. It's sort of to get them there. It's more than just you travel and you get there. This gives my characters a good time to role play and actually see what feel kind of each other out. They have like some very minimal combat encounters and sort of give them a sense of the world. So I feel like this is a very good like sort of session one sort of experience to get everybody sort of acquainted, and they can make alliances and likes and dislikes and stuff like that. And some of my players are really into it. They've already started to kind of choose favorites among the other players about who they like, and it's great. It's perfect. I love it. I love all the role-playing aspect. I really highly encourage role-playing in my games, and I just kind of sit back and let that happen, and that was great. So then they finally get to Port Naranzaru, and once they get there, the first thing that happens to them the morning after they land in the evening, the morning after they land, is that there's a solar eclipse now with a blood red sky. And this is not supposed to happen either. So this is the actual true start of the Death Curse. Like the machine is working at full capacity now. Now resurrections have stopped. All resurrections across the Forgotten Realms no longer work. The characters do not discover this, though, until later. They find out from one of the priests through Undril that resurrections have stopped. Also, when they had their combat encounters, the cleric, the other Order of the Gauntlet member, like Undril, she would do healing, and I would tell her, your healing works, it just like something feels off about it. Like your healing, like it feels more difficult than usual. It doesn't feel like it's as easy. Like this is a spell you've cast, thousands of times. This is a healing. This is a thing that you've done probably hundreds, thousands of times, and you know how it's supposed to feel, and it just doesn't feel right to you. And then every time she does a healing after that, it gets a little progressively. Like I remind her again, like this doesn't feel right. And then after the solar eclipse, I said, well, it doesn't feel like, it really just doesn't feel right. And like you notice it's difficult, like it's actually straining you. to do the healing. And that's just for minor healing. They haven't even tried like a more complicated healing, and that's going to be more difficult. So one of the rules, now let me go into my prep, what I use for prep, because I use Obsidian for prep, right? And so this is my campaign here. I just realized I can't click on the OBS screen to actually make this work. All right, so this is my campaign here. I have all this stuff. We're on day 11 of their journey. I'm just like, for Tomb of Annihilation, because it is kind of, there's this, in the campaign, there's this time crunch. I've kind of gotten rid of that because I wanted them to explore Port Naranzara, and I listened to a bunch of other DMs online and read a bunch of Reddit posts, and they all sort of suggested like the timeline was a problematic because characters immediately go out into the jungle, and then it was just all jungle, and I didn't want it to be all jungle. I wanted it to be some city exploring at first, and which gives an opportunity for more role play, and then we'll go into the survival hex crawl thing later. Which I let my players know that that's the way it was going to be in session 0, and everybody seemed really cool with it. So here's like basically how I have it broken down, right? And then I have in my DM notes, right, I have the mechanics of the death curse. So here I have stages, and I do my stages by level because that just makes more sense to me. Like in the campaign, it's 80 days, and it's just like, well, you know what? If the players just haven't done much in the first 20 days, like the death curse is like kicking, man. I mean, the death curse is like a quarter of the way done. Syndrome is almost done for a quarter of the way, and they're still low level and they're not doing anything. And so it was just like, you know what? I'm going to have the death curse work for me and have it work on my schedule with my players as they level. So here we go. Stage 1 are levels 1 through 4. They're now level 2. Before they go out into the jungle, they'll be level 3. So resurrection no longer works, period. Doesn't work at all. They've had hints of this, and now they have verification that this has happened. Now they've also learned that previous resurrected people get rashes that can't be healed, like rashes, cuts, sores, stuff like that. They'll be healed, and then they'll come back within a day or maybe a couple hours or something. And these are people that have previously been resurrected, right? Now, like, the soulmonger isn't capturing souls yet, right? So, well, it's capturing souls, but it's not eating them at the time, okay? So souls are not being devoured. Okay, it's just capturing. It's like building up. It's like it's working full steam, but it's like putting gas in the tank right now. Okay. A resurrected humanoid has their hit dice maximum reduced by 1. This is going to go up as time goes on. Speak with the dead. If cast, any spirit captured by the soulmonger cannot reveal their location, only that they're in great pain and cannot reach their intended afterlife. Now, my characters are pretty low level. They haven't had a chance to get with Speak with the Dead, but it is possible that this will come up before level 4. We have Undril as a cleric, and we also have a main player character who's a cleric, and so this totally could come up. And then here you go. Healing magic seems difficult and takes a toll on the caster, and this is going to be something that my cleric comes into more and more. So probably once they reach level 3, she's going to have a very difficult time, and it's going to start actually affecting her and possibly giving her a level of exhaustion, which I'm using the new rules for exhaustion, by the way, which I think are just much better. So I really do. I think they're just really great. And that's in my house rules. Let's see, house rules. exhaustion. See, I have all these. This document here, this house rules, is a thing that all people got. I haven't updated my session, but this is a thing that all people got before session 0, basically, so they knew what they were doing. And I say in here, where is it, that the jungle is a dangerous place, blah, blah, blah. They can, let's see, everything for lingering industry, character creation, etiquette, blah, blah, blah. Where is it? I'm sorry, I don't know where this is, but, oh yeah, resting. Levels of exhaustion in this condition accumulate each time you receive it, you gain 1 level of exhaustion. So your D20 rolls are affected. This is the exhaustion conditions in 1 D&D, which I think are just much better than the exhaustion conditions in 5e. Just the exhaustion conditions in 5e are just brutal, in my opinion, and really make it not fun. This actually makes it fun, I think, but not unfairly. Like, still gives you a chance to have fun, not just like, So when you make a D20 test, you subtract your exhaustion level from the D20 roll. So 1 level exhaustion would be like a -1 to all D20 rolls. Like, that would be attack rolls and skill check rolls. So stuff like that. And then just, finishing a long rest would stop it. So it's not really a big deal. Until they get into the jungle, where it will start to be more of a big deal. But out in the city, it might affect her, and it's going to notice it. So basically, the characters will start to care, right? Because it will be personally affecting them. This is so much better than the Syndrel. Like, you got to save Syndrel, you get teleported by Syndrel, and she's got the death curse, and you got to care about Syndrel. And it's like the characters have no ties to Syndrel whatsoever, and so why would they care? I mean, I just don't understand, like, why. I was reading that in the book. I just don't understand why I care about Syndrel, because I don't. Even as a DM, I don't. And she's just not in my game, frankly. Like, she's really just not. The characters haven't encountered her. I don't think she's going to exist, except as like a minor NPC now, where she's like a major NPC in the game, but she's just not, So let's see what they are. They just finished session 4. The group decided they were going to stay at the Thundering Lizard, and then they went to the Temple of Sabras, and they spoke with Grandfather Zatembe. I can't speak today. There, who and he was like being harassed by the Zentarum. Roku passed them a note that said that he wanted to meet them later that night. This was in the morning. This was like first thing in the morning. Grandfather Zatembe was very happy about their arrival, because he was not at all happy with the Zentarum being there. He said that he would kind of help the players do whatever they wanted. He would help them answer any question they needed answering. But always a but, right? Because this is the way you got to do. You gotta like give your player something. Here is something. Here is something you want. I will give it to you, but, right? So always go with a but. But they have to find Annette, his acolyte, who is now missing. And the story that I gave is that she went off with a halfling named Viplo, who came in ranting into the temple a few days ago and hasn't been seen since. And Annette went to go help him, and she hasn't been seen either. And it's not like her. And Grandfather is concerned. And so they go to look for Ziplo in the Grand Souk. Along the way to the Grand Souk, I give them a little encounter of 4 thugs beating up a man and holding a dinosaur. So this was their opportunity to get a free dinosaur. And I thought that's the way it would go. And nope, it did not. The players killed the thugs, which, okay, fine, not a problem. And they talked to the man, but they never, surprisingly, they never really demanded a reward from the man for saving him, basically. And so he didn't offer them the dinosaur, Captain Aladdin Sane, for all you Bowie fans out there. So he sort of went on his merry way, and they sort of went on their merry way. And this is where I got into trouble. This is something I have to prep. One of the thugs was alive. And so they started questioning him. And they're like, who are you collecting the money for? And I wasn't prepared for that because I didn't have an in-depth backstory for the thugs. They were just thugs that they were supposed to be sort of nondescript, barely named characters like Thug number 1, Thug number 2, you know, if it was a movie. And so I just started making up stuff. And now, so the thug said he collects money for a man who controls the betting for the races, the dinosaur races, because I wanted them to get more involved in the dinosaur races. They just didn't seem that interested in them, and I think it's going to be really cool, so I was hoping I could steer them into the dinosaur races a little bit. He said, wait a minute, let me pull up my Foundry here. So I've got this. All right, yeah, here's my Foundry. He said, yeah, well, I collect money for a man, and now they want to go rob this man, and they killed the thug because they didn't want him going back to the man, and so they just straight up murdered him. And now I've got to create a scenario where they're going to go rob this man. It's sort of a mini heist, and I wasn't prepared for this. If I would have been more prepared, I would have tied it into one of the merchant princes who controls gambling. It's never really specified in the book who runs the gambling racket in Port Naranzaru, but I sort of, I have a merchant prince in mind. Let's see if I have him written down here. He's in my notes somewhere. And I would have said it was that merchant prince, and basically that would have led them into a bigger thing. Like that would have been a good way, if I was smart, if I'd done this right on the fly like that, that would have been the way I would have done it. And that would have been very interesting to me, because that could have got them into the merchant princes with a reason to sort of do stuff for them, because I want sort of some of the political intrigue of Port Naranzaru to come out. Because the way I framed this is basically they were colonized, Chult was colonized, and 11 years ago, I think it was, something like that, they basically revolted and they kicked Amin out. And so now they're a free people, but now they're still ruled by these 7 wealthy merchants in this sort of like a really weird sort of oligarchy, shared oligarchy government. And anyway, so I didn't do it right, but I think I'm going to get it back to them, because I think I'm going to make this guy that's collects bets, he ultimately reports the princess to the prince, and they're going to find out more about the Merchant Princess. Right now, they only sort of know the very surface level. There are 7 Merchant Princes. They've had 0 interaction with them, nor should they at second level and just arriving in a port. So don't have your players meet the Merchant Princess right away. I highly discourage that, because a Merchant Princess should not be involved in the lives of second level characters. Just like the main villain should not give a care in the world for second level characters, and he doesn't. So Acerak was mentioned in a flashback because I want him to be more omnipresent throughout the campaign. So he's mentioned in flashback early on, but other than that, I don't, he doesn't care about these characters at all, and really isn't going to start caring probably until they get higher level, until they get to Umbatu. So Omu, until they get to Omu. So you can see here's my I run this on a tabletop, a virtual tabletop, and I built a dining room table with a monitor in it, a TV in it, and I run a virtual tabletop on this table. And we've been using Foundry for this, for maps. I was doing miniatures and stuff, and I recently moved to tokens, and I'm having players move their tokens actually with Streamdeck. So they move it like with just little arrow keys. They can move their tokens around the map, and they can either roll physical dice or they can use Streamdeck to roll virtual dice, however they prefer it. Most of my players at the table prefer to roll physical dice, and why not? Because they're playing in person and they want to roll physical dice, and I totally get that because it's very satisfying to roll physical dice. So this is my map. They get this little map here. These are my characters. I have 6 characters. And here's their little missions that I have. Like, I have little quests. They've discovered these quests so far, and I've told my players that they don't need to do these quests. Like, these quests are all sort of out there. And you can see I don't have the main quest here yet, because they haven't they know about the main quest, right? But they haven't really gotten the main quest as a quest. Like, the quest has been mentioned, but I think until it personally affects them, which is coming soon, I do believe, that they won't really know about the quest. They really won't care about the quest. And right now they don't. They don't really care about the quest. So they're going to find Viplo right now, right? They go to find Viplo. They go to his house. They find that he has some zombies, right? He's tied up some zombies. They find a journal that he has a dead son. This is sort of an encounter I stole from Eric Watson. If you watch his YouTube thing, it was a pretty great encounter, I thought, especially for intro characters. And I like it how I can use it to introduce my version of the Death Curse into their world and get them to care more. So that's why I'm using his encounter. And so they've gotten to let's see, let's go into scenes here. Let's go Port Naranzaru. This is my little encounter with the thugs and the dinosaurs, which you can see they just killed some thugs outright. This was Viplo's home. Zombies sort of burst out. They killed him. I made this map way too big in Dungeon Alchemist, and it was really having a hard time loading. And it really slowed my game down. So lesson learned, first time using Dungeon Alchemist. But I also made this map in Dungeon Alchemist, and I'm really happy with it. So here's the deal. They have just now gotten to this feeding pit, and they're about to discover here. So they're pretty stuck on this course right now. They're going to go through here. They're going to deal with these little minor traps. They come into here. There's Viplo right here. He's going to be, there's a net right there, and 2 commoners. And he's going to be getting ready to complete a ritual that the baghead hag told him. So Nana Baggy Nana, something like that. Basically, in his journal, he alluded to that she came to him in dreams. This also, by the way, is the same hag that has my character's sister. So it all comes around. Basically, I make sure I tie my character's personal stories into the main plot or into one of the major side plots, so it really can't be missed. So yeah, he'll find his sister eventually at the end of this, and he'll have a real good reason to go there. I want to give him real motivation to go there. Anyway, so it's been alluded to. Now the character, the player character, doesn't know that that's who has his sister or whatever, has no idea, but he'll start to recognize themes. I mean, a bag for a head is a pretty distinguishing feature, I think, and so they'll definitely recognize that. But once the characters come in here, I'll use him. Actually, this is the character whose sister is taken. So once they come in here, he's going to release the zombies. They're going to fight the zombies. They have so many turns to fight the zombies or distract the zombies before they chomp on a net. If they chomp on a net, she's like down to 1 or 2 hit points. Basically, one attack on a net will kill her, and they get like a ridiculous advantage to hit because she's actually tied to a column here, chained to a column here. So the zombies will probably not be missing her, and if they do hit her, she's going to be dead. Which gives us, if she's dead, fine. The contingency for that is she's dead and they find out more about the death curse. If she's not dead, I have to kind of prep for that more. Because if she's not dead, she's very likely going to want to go with them because of the red wizards. And I don't really, as a DM, I'm not very interested in her going with them. Just not. I'm not very interested in the red wizard storyline. I like having the red wizards there, but there's already so much to do in Cholt. I feel the red wizards are kind of just a red herring, to sort of be punny about it. They really don't. They're not part of the main story at all, really, besides the fact that they want to also find the soulmonger. I mean, but other than that, it's really, I'm really not interested because I already have the guide, and I'll have Undril, and Undril will go with them at least to Fort Naranzaru. To Fort Camp Righteous. She might stop at Camp Vengeance, right? But she'll go at least that far with them. And then they have the guide, which some of my players aren't stoked about, and some of them are kind of lukewarm about. Nobody's excited about the guides yet. So I really have to do that. So they have this encounter. The session 5 is going to be this encounter. And mostly I think it's going to be this, because this is going to be combat with 6-player characters. And I have 7 combatants here. So I wanted to make this a very challenging encounter for them. So I have 5 zombies and 1 ghoul who is Viplo's son. And Viplo is an apprentice wizard. So he'll be putting himself in 3/4 cover behind this altar here. And doing firebolt from behind there. So he'll be hard to kill, but once they get to him, he's going to go down quick. And then that's going to take up most of their time, I think. And then it's going to be start to get evening time. And I know they're going to want to go meet Roka, because they were very interested in Azentarum passing them a note. And Roka's whole thing is that he wants to go to Fort Belawarian and steal proof that the commander there is in league with the pirates, because the Zentarum are losing money to the pirates. And that's their main motivation for everything, is money. So he's going to drag them to Fort Belawarian. They already sort of have a reason to go to Fort Belawarian anyway, because I've told them they need what did I call it? A writ of travel, decree of journey, or something like that they had to get from Fort Belawarian to travel in the jungles. And they've already heard this from multiple people, and they're going to hear this from the guides again, that they have to go there. And they do have the services of the Brazen Pegasus a little bit. So I'm going to make it like Roku is going to go and he can get the ship for him. And so it will take half a day journey. Take just a few hours to go there by ship, whereas it'll take... it's really weird, because they tell you a hex takes a whole day to cross on the map. But then you look at Fort Belawarian, and it's like really not even close. I mean, it's like, it's so not close to Port Noranzaro. It's really not. This is more than a day's journey by land. And who's going to want to go there to get a writ than to go all this way north, like out of the way, like at least a 2 days journey, even if you fudge like the travel a little bit with hexes. But I think on the hex map, this is like 6 or 8 hexes. So this should take a really long time to go, right? I think it's like 6. So according to the book, this should take 6 days of travel and then 6 days back. Nobody's going to want to do that. So even if you fudge it and you say there's like a road here that goes up this, so it takes you 2 days, right? Still, nobody's going to want to go 2 days travel and then 2 days back just to get to down here so they can travel for the adventure. It just doesn't make sense. And here's Camp Righteous here, which is the only thing they knew about Cholt on where to go was Camp Righteous. Like the only little guidepost I gave them before they left was Camp Righteous, because of Undril and the personal quest of the PC cleric, who's also Order of the Gauntlet. So I'm going to fudge this a little bit and say that this is a few hours journey by boat, right? Just so I can get them here. Like I'm going to hand wave a little bit of this travel, right? I'm not going to be concerned about getting the timing of travel right until we get here, until we actually get into the jungle travel. Because I think this being so far on the map is a bad idea. And actually, now that I'm thinking about it, if I were to redo this, I would have put Fort Belawarian closer. I would put it like across the bay, like across this channel here, or something like over here, because it doesn't make sense. They got kicked out. Their Flaming Fist is no longer. They're sort of claiming interest of the land. Port Noranzaro doesn't care that they're claiming interest of the land. But like to go all the way up there and demand writs for travel and stuff like that that's just silly. Yeah, if I was to redo this, I'd move Fort Belawarian, because it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter where you put these things. You just got to make them make sense, right? And the players have questioned this already. They've already been like, why is that so far away? And I'm like, well, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know why it's so far away. There's no good reason why that's so far away. That's yeah. Another thing that had my player's question is like why, because of Emereg here, why don't they actually make Kitchler's Inlet like sort of the main landing bay now, right? And the only thing I could tell them is because they have an already established city of Port Novararo, and they had Mesero here, but that was destroyed and overrun, and so they're going to come to the realization that Mesaro, which would be Kitchler's Inlet landing, sort of, is now kind of just overrun. You know, it's like this area is full of zombies. Like, you know, there's undead everywhere here. And I've been sort of kind of trying to impress them with the fact that there's undead everywhere. But they're in the safety of the city. And they don't really know yet. They've only just now defeated 4 undead. 2 of them had the blue triangles and 2 of them didn't, meaning that 2 were older and 2 were recently created. But like, and that's something I'll tie in later. I just like to put out these little breadcrumbs for people, and then later in a session, I love it when a player's like, oh, 3 sessions ago when you said this and this and this, that's what that was about. And I'm like, yes. And I love that. Anyway, so they're going to find out that this is not safe anymore, right? And that's why they're not landing there. And that's why they're dealing with Armeg. Because one of the characters is like, this is not cost efficient. And it's really not. Armeg is taking a very large tax on a top of Port Novararo. And so that's one of the things I did change with Port Novararo based on that was the book has it that goods are the same price as the mainland of Forgotten Realms. Like, they'd be the same price that they are in Baldur's Gate or Neverwinter. And that's just like insane. There's no way that prices can be the same. So, with the remoteness of this location and Arameg and all this stuff, there's just no way. So prices are much higher here. A lot of stuff is 10 times higher. And then they go to the black market, they can get it cheaper than they could get it in the city from the approved merchants, right? But it's still going to be higher than they would pay in Baldur's Gate, right? Even for the black market. It's just ridiculous. There's no way. I don't understand why the book did that. It makes absolutely no sense to me why they would do that. So that's it. So for session 5, I have to prep. My hair is going crazy. I have prepped the rest of the Save a Net quest or Find a Net quest, right? It's called Find a Net. So Find a Net is I have to prep the very last bit of that, the bit with a net if she's rescued, and while she go, why what she would do, and I have to make a decision with that about what she would do. And then I have to also prep their meeting with Roka. I don't think the next session we're going to get to interview the guides yet. I think that's going to be at least 2 more, maybe 3 more sessions before they interview the guides. That'll be right before they go out into the jungle, I think. Because I really don't want the guides sort of hanging around sort of stuff until they got into the jungle. I just want them, like once they get the guide, decide on the guide, and they get and they go in to get the gear. Hopefully they'll have enough gold by then. So one of the things I did was I tried to get rid of their gold, their starting gold, as much as I could. So they're bereft of money. So because I wanted to make that part of the challenge to them was to get the money to afford stuff in Port Naranzaro and to afford a jungle expedition, which would keep them in the city a little bit longer so they could discover some of the cool stuff with that city, because the city is really cool. So now I think because I screwed up and because I did the bookie guy, the characters are a little bit more interested in the dino races, which is great. Problem solved with that. Problem created with the bookie guy. So I need to flesh that out. I probably will have that tie into one of the merchant princes, right? Like I said, and then the merchant prince will ask them to go steal something from another merchant prince. So I'll have like a whole session that'll just be a heist. Like, I really want to do a heist. And I think that would be a really kind of cool sort of side quest for them to do. And if they do the heist, then they'll get the guide for free, at least their first guide. And I've told the players they don't have to pick one guide and be stuck with that guide forever. They can come back and get a new guide. And I imagine that Port Naranzaro will be a city they return to at least a couple times, actually. So, yeah. So that's what I had to prep for, mainly the Roca thing. And then the Roca encounter is just prepping sort of what he's going to say and how he's going to respond to the players. If they do something crazy, because they might just decide that they want to kill him or whatever. I don't know. Some of my characters, some of the characters are a bit of a wild card. But Roca will lead them to Fort Belawarian, and then that'll be 2 sessions, right? And then the dino races and meeting the princess, the 3rd session, and the 4th session, a heist, and then 5th session. So yeah, they'll be in Port Naranzaro for a bit. So I see at least 5 sessions in Port Naranzaro before they get into the jungle. So that's 2.5 months on our time schedule. Which will be good, I think, because the jungle, once they get into the jungle, the game changes a lot. It goes into survival mode, and that's a hex crawl. And there's a lot of stuff that they can explore in the jungle. And, I want them to go to Camp Righteous and see that it's destroyed and been overrun with zombies. And then I want them to go to Camp Vengeance. And then I was thinking about doing a zombie attack at Camp Vengeance, like a just straight up zombie massive mob attack at Camp Vengeance, and they'll see the real effects, and I don't know if when I do that I'll do something like what Eric Watson did and have zombies actually turning other people into zombies, right then, like a zombie apocalypse sort of thing, which will be interesting. Which then would make the players really care about the death curse. But, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I saw him do it in his stream, and it was pretty cool. And I saw the players' eyes just get, super wide, like saucers when he did that. And it was awesome. Yeah, I don't know. That's something I have to decide, but I don't have to decide that for many sessions yet. Because I just have a lot going on in Port Naranzaro, and I think 5 sessions is already a lot in Port Naranzaro when they've already been there for they've already been there for they've already been there for 1 session, right? So session 4, no, let's see. Oh, yeah, no, they've already been there for 2 sessions. So they didn't actually land until session 2. End of session 2. Session 3 was the start of Port Rosario. So they've already been there for 2 sessions, and then 5 more sessions in Port Rosario. 7 sessions. That's quite a bit before they even get to the jungle. So, I'm going to have to play it by ear. Look at my players. The advantage of playing in person with players is you can actually, it's much easier to get a gauge on where they are and whether they're enjoying it or not. And if they're not feeling Port Rosario, I'll try to cut it short. And if they are feeling it, I probably won't make it any longer, but I'll keep it at 5 more sessions, so they can explore more Port Rosario and do the dino races, and maybe get a dino of their own. I was gonna bring that guy back that they saved, and because he still owes 40 gold piece to the thugs, to the bookie. They didn't help him with that, and so I'm thinking perhaps I'm going to bring him back, and he's going to offer to sell the dinosaur to them for. I mean, in the book, it's like 100 gold piece. It's worth 100 gold pieces, so he's going to try to sell the dinosaur to him for, probably 120, and then they can talk him down to 60 or something like that. And so he can pay off his bookie, and he'll have 20 gold pieces to spend, which he'll blow. But it'll be good because they'll get their own little dinosaur, and maybe before the race, that'd be pretty awesome. And then I have a whole encounter with Executioner's Run that I really want to do. But the encounter from the book, Save an Innocent Man. But I don't know. Because that encounter, it's another long encounters, and my players take a long time at combat. So I don't know. It makes the sessions a lot slower. So I don't know. I'm gonna have to feel it out. I have that in my back pocket. There's always Save an Innocent Man here. So I have my encounters. They did collect a debt. Let's see. You can't see that. They did collect a debt, and now they're in the middle of trouble at the temple. Well, trouble at the temple is kind of over. That was sort of the encounter that led into the quest, Quite the Distraction, which is the quest that Roka gives. It's what I'm calling the quest to steal the Sending Stone from Fort Belloarian. And the quest Find a Net. And so I think that'll be good. But then they have all these too. The Hunt the Pirates ones, they already know they can't get. And then I have this quest here as another backup. So I have Save an Innocent Man and have Kyla's Cellar of Apathy as backups in case I need to run another quest or encounter. So this is a full quest, and this Save an Innocent Man is actually, I'm just calling it an encounter because it all takes place sort of in one thing. It's not like point A that leads to point B to point C, which this one does. And this one I picked up from one of the free sort of modules that I got from DM's Guild. So map the interior of Schult, that's sort of ongoing encounter quest. And I imagine at the end of session 5 here, they will pick up basically the main quest. They'll probably get the main quest will probably get a name, Stop the Death Curse, and they'll probably know the main quest basically, and the main quest will have a name and it'll appear on their board and stuff like that. So they'll actually know what the ultimate goal is, because right now they don't, and I don't want them rudderless for too long without the main goal. Right? They know it's coming. They're not fools. They know how games work. But they know it's coming. I just don't want them kind of stumbling around for too long without giving it. So I'm really kind of now we're about to be 5 sessions in. I'm really kind of anxious to get the main quest on the board, at least, because I just don't want them to think it's all sort of side quest and stuff. So that's my plan. And this is a new channel for me. And this is something that I'm hoping that I'm going to do more often. I'm not recording game sessions, but, I have a link to the pages that we do, like all this stuff. Like one of the reasons I love this is this all goes into a website that the players can then use. I publish my notes here, right? And then that gets published on a website that the players can access at any time. If they were missing or whatever, they can catch up on session notes. And they also get the bios of their characters along with character pictures. They get a little rundown of each quest they have active, even the quests they've completed. They haven't completed any yet, though. And what they know so far. They get a rundown. This is sort of what they get, the main page. They get a list of the NPCs they've met. They get a list of the guides, and this is where locations will go that they've done. I need to put Naranzaru here. And they're really behind in their player session notes and handing them to me, but I'm not gonna press them on that issue because it's kind of like giving homework, and I don't feel like it's fair of me to give them homework. But they can see their characters, they can see their notes, they can see my session notes. You get the quest, NPCs, guides, and they'll get all the information here, and this all goes on a website that they can then access at any time, which I think they enjoy. They have been using it. We have a Discord server for out-of-game chat, and I also post handouts that I give, because I give handouts on occasion. So I post handouts. Any handouts that I do go into a channel on that Discord server that they can then look at the handouts at any time. And I really should integrate them into here. Handouts tend to stay on my Foundry, and then my handouts tend to stay in my journal, and so handouts sort of kind of go here, and then here's the solar eclipse event, and other things kind of go in my Obsidian, and that's mainly just for me, not really for the players. This is what I run the game from this using an iPad. Like, I try to rarely look at the book or have my nose in a book, and I try to run the game from here, which is just much better because all this information is more abbreviated. Collected debt here is a fairly short thing, right? All this is abbreviated for me, so I can go through it quickly, instead of just being constantly in a book and stuff. And I can be more active with the table, which I think is good. But anyway, that's it. Hopefully this channel is new. So like and subscribe. I hope to be putting some games up on startplaying.games pretty soon. I'm going to be running a couple one-shots and some campaigns. I have some spare time, and I decided that, you know what? I like DMing. I really enjoy it. I almost enjoy it more than playing. And we're short of DMs. Everybody says there's a DM shortage, and so I figure, why not? Do start playing games and see where it goes, because it sounds like a fun deal. You can earn a little extra cash for the wife and I, and we can maybe go to dinner or something. Great. And then I'm going to start doing updates to the YouTube channel. I'll start doing more of these sort of videos, like prep for some of those campaigns. Now, some of those campaigns that are going online, I hope to actually live stream eventually. So that's all sort of the plan. This is all sort of a new plan that I've got going forward, and hopefully that all works out. So stay in touch. Drop me a chat or a like or whatever if you like this. I'd love to talk to you. I'll put all my information in the description of this video, and you can find me on Discord. I don't have an Instagram yet, but you can find me on Discord. And then we'll go from there. And hopefully I meet some new friends. And let's all just enjoy this really great game. I've been playing forever. So I'm a constant lifelong fan. I've been playing since I was 13. And that was quite a number of years ago. So enjoy. And I will catch you up, at the very least, with the next planning session, Planning Tomb of Annihilation Session 6, where I will figure out what the players are doing from there, based on the game Sunday. And I hope to see you soon. All right, thanks, and have a good time.